Video will serve the purpose of reviewing the literature review assignment, which is part 2 of your life skills project. So let's get into it. So here we have on our Blackboard page the literature review assignment folder. And our first video is how to locate our articles. And so if you've already watched that video, great. If you're starting with this video, that works too. If you haven't watched it yet, I recommend watching this one after this one if you haven't watched it yet. If you've already watched it, awesome. So here's our assignment instructions. This is directly from our syllabus. And so I'm going to open that for you. I'm going to kind of talk you guys through it. So what we did in our first part of our project was really reflect on our early childhood experiences and how they have shaped us today as people and as educators as well, and our view of children and their behaviors. Okay, so now we are going to now tie in the literature review behind it, the literature behind that. So let's say something came up for you in your self-reflection. You're kind of acknowledging let's say self-regulation was not a skill that you developed early on, and you feel like you still struggle with it and you would like to learn more about it. That would be a great life skill to choose to research more on and build that knowledge base further for your role as an educator. So in the literature review, you will be picking 2 of our life skills to further research. I always recommend picking 2 that you kind of feel like maybe you would, you feel like you're lacking in, or you just want to know more about, and you don't, and you're curious and you're interested. So it can be already a strength of yours, but it's just an interest. So that's fine too. So you'll be picking 2 of them, and your paper is going to be evaluating and then kind of synthesizing the articles together into one cohesive piece. So when I say that, it's important to not, let's say each paragraph start with "in this article it states," like this article talks about this. Well, I'm not asking about necessarily an article and what they're talking about. I'm asking about a life skill. And so you're going to be reading these articles and then grabbing pieces per article and tying it together in one cohesive piece. And to go a little bit into the requirements for the paper, let's see. Okay, so you will be selecting 2 articles per life skill. And so for your journal entries last week, I had asked you to read and pick 2. So you've already done half the work. Some of you had even already picked all 4. So that's wonderful. You guys have done, I think, one of the hardest parts is finding the articles you really want to learn on. And so the paper will have an introduction, a literature review section, and a conclusion. The reference page needs to be there because we need to cite our sources. It does this paper, and then I'm sorry, you also need in-text citation just so we know where you received your information from. It does not have to be APA. So I will not be grading you on APA. So in your grading rubric, you can also disregard that portion. But if you know APA and you want to use APA, you can, go right ahead. But I will not be grading you on that. The citations I'm asking for is just simply so I know where you received your information. Paper is a full 4 pages of content. Doesn't include a title page or a reference page. Introductions can sometimes take 3/4 of a page or half a page, and then conclusions can take about half a page as well, or a little less than that. And so it kind of leaves you with about 2.5, 3 pages of, of the literature review portion. Double space, Times New Roman, 1-inch margins are all great and wonderful to use. And I do have, and then for you guys, you are using I've taken out half the work for you. I think one of the hardest pieces of writing a literature review is finding your actual articles. So I have all the articles here for you to select. You don't have to use mine. If you want to do your own research, go for it. And you can go ahead. Now, out of the 6, I want to say I don't at this time have the contribution articles, but we have articles in all of the other ones. And here are the examples. Here's your rubric if you want to see what I use. You guys should be familiar with it by now with the completing the first part of your project. And then here's a literature review example. This is taken from a TK student, and so this is more online with what your expectations are. I put just a on-campus literature review example just so you can kind of get an idea for like format and how to synthesize literature. It's just this one it's a lot longer. It's not the same expectations you guys have for your paper, but just some another example for you guys to kind of take a look at. So that's it. Let me know if you guys have any questions.